When it comes to optics, Blizzard has definitely had something of a rough couple of months. I'm sure all of you know about the disastrously tone-deaf announcement of Diablo Immortal and all the backlash that entailed. The egregious part about that wasn't even that they announced a mobile Diablo game, but rather that they kept sticking with their mobile game script so stubbornly during a fan celebration event like BlizzCon no less. Not only did they make Diablo Immortal the centerpiece of their BlizzCon presentation, shortly thereafter they kept talking about how they would be making more mobile games than ever before across all their IPs, giving off the impression that their priorities were in the wrong place. Now, it doesn't seem very likely that Diablo 4's development will be affected, as these mobile games are being spearheaded by separate subdivisions within Blizzard, but at the same time there are definitely signs that Activision's influence is seeping in and changing the culture within Blizzard. One such sign is a recent announcement that Blizzard posted yesterday on December 13th, 2018 on their official website. If you're a fan of their MOBA title Heroes of the Storm, you're not going to be pleased by this press release. I'd like to highlight the important bits of this announcement, starting with the following paragraph. Over the past several years, the work of evaluating our development processes and making hard decisions has led to new games and other products that we're proud of. We now have more live games and unannounced projects than at any point in the company's history. We're also at a point where we need to take some of our talented developers and bring their skills to other projects. As a result, we have made the difficult decision to shift some developers from Heroes of the Storm to other teams, and we're excited to see the passion, knowledge, and experience that they'll bring to those projects. This isn't the first time we've had to make tough choices like this. Games like Diablo 2, World of Warcraft, StarCraft 2, Overwatch, and more would not exist had we not made similar decisions in the past. So the first thing to note is that developers are being shifted away from Heroes of the Storm, meaning that patches and content updates are bound to be far less frequent. It sure seems like this is one live service that's being scaled down quite a bit to only be supported on the most fundamental of levels, possibly to be retired eventually. To be fair, there is no denying that Heroes of the Storm is among Blizzard's least successful endeavors, being unable to reach the heights of similar titles like Dota 2 and League of Legends, or even Blizzard's own more successful titles like Overwatch, Hearthstone, World of Warcraft, and what have you. But there are still plenty of people enjoying Heroes of the Storm, so this sudden regression is still quite unfortunate. Moving on, the press release explained some of the reasoning behind Blizzard's latest decision, stating the following. Despite the change, Heroes of the Storm remains our love letter to Blizzard's worlds and characters. We'll continue actively supporting the game with new heroes, themed events, and other content that our community loves, though the cadence will change. So they're confirming that they won't stop supporting the game outright for now, but the frequency of new content, heroes, and events will be drastically reduced. Blizzard continued, ultimately we're setting up the game for long-term sustainability. We are so grateful for the support the community has shown from the beginning, and the development team will continue to support Heroes with the same passion, dedication, and creativity that has made the game such a unique experience. So that bit about long-term sustainability requires a bit of extrapolation, as it is related to the changing culture within Blizzard that Activision is causing. I'd like to draw your attention to a tweet posted by Kotaku editor Jason Schreier, who you may recall posted an investigative article last month detailing some of the behind-the-scenes goings-on over at the studio. In response to this latest news, he had the following to say. As I've reported, Blizzard has been told to cut costs and ship more games, so today's news on Heroes of the Storm, which is scaling down and losing developers, makes a lot of sense. It's been Blizzard's least successful game by far. For those who aren't familiar with the report, it's from an article titled The Past, Present, and Future of Diablo, which provides insight about the studio based on the account of 11 current and former Blizzard employees. Among the points highlighted in the article is that whereas Blizzard has traditionally prided itself on being an autonomous and separate entity from Activision despite being under the publisher's umbrella, lately it's felt as though Activision's influence has been more prevalent, as evidenced by things like how Activision titles such as Call of Duty and Destiny 2 have made their way to what used to be the Blizzard exclusive launcher Battle.net, and how Activision used BlizzCon to announce that Destiny 2 would be available for free for a limited time. More importantly, the article conveyed how someone who used to work in finance and investor relations departments over at Activision has recently been reassigned as CFO of Blizzard, and her number one priority since her tenure began has been to cut costs. As Kotaku's article noted, quote, "In the spring of 2018, during Blizzard's annual company-wide battle plan meeting, Chief Financial Officer Amrita Ahuja spoke to all of the staff, according to 2 people who were there. In what came as a surprise to many, she told Blizzard that one of the company's goals for the coming year was to save money. This is the first year we have heard a priority being cutting costs and trying not to spend as much," said one person who was in the meeting. It was presented as, "Don't spend money where it isn't necessary." Another quote worth highlighting is this one right here. "You would have thought Blizzard was going under and we had no money, the way every little thing was being scrutinized from a spend perspective. That's obviously not the case, but this was the very first time I ever heard we need to show growth. That was just so incredibly disheartening for me." So when Blizzard talks about how they're setting up Heroes of the Storm for long-term sustainability, this is definitely less Blizzard speaking and more Activision. This is especially apparent when you consider that Activision has been experiencing financial stagnation throughout 2018, having recently announced during their latest financial briefing that the number of active users across all Activision games has dipped a little rather than seen significant growth, that Black Ops 4 failed to eclipse previous entries in the series, and that Destiny 2 failed to bolster its player base despite the recent release of the Forsaken expansion. Understand that it's not that Activision failed to make money, it's just that they didn't make as much money as investors would have wanted. After all, investors want growth, not stagnation. It isn't enough to make enough money, they have to make more money every year in this infinite unsustainable cycle. As a result, since October 2018, we have seen Activision stocks dip dramatically, now being the lowest they have been since early 2017. So yeah, I have little doubt that the scaling back of Heroes of the Storm is in large part a reaction to this downwards trend in Activision's finances. This is all part of Activision's initiative to cut costs, not Blizzard's, or at least that's what I can surmise based on what we currently know. Moving on, the press release proceeded by discussing prospects for Heroes of the Storm esports events, stating the following: "We have also evaluated our plans around Heroes esports. After looking at all of our priorities and options in light of the change with the game, the Heroes Global Championship and Heroes of the Dorm will not return in 2019. This was another very difficult decision for us to make. The love that the community has for these programs is deeply felt by everyone who works on them, but we ultimately feel this is the right decision versus moving forward in a way that would not meet the standards that players and fans have come to expect." Yikes, that right there is definitely a major blow for fans and enthusiasts of a title that encourages esports events. But again, Heroes of the Storm hasn't drawn the kind of attention that Dota 2 and League of Legends have, and in light of Activision's pursuit to cut costs across the board, a scale back on pricey esports events for a middlingly performing title shouldn't come as a huge surprise. Finally, Blizzard concluded their announcement by detailing what scaling down Heroes of the Storm means for the future of the company, stating the following: "While we don't make these decisions lightly, we do look to the future excited about what the decisions will mean for our other live games and all the projects we have in the works. We appreciate all of our hardworking developers and everyone in the Blizzard community, and look forward to sharing many more epic gaming experiences with you in the future." So it seems abundantly clear that developers aren't being fired from the recent scale down, but rather being shifted to other projects within the studio. Explaining the exact nature of this transition is yet another quote from Jason's article, which reads, quote, "Blizzard appears to be bolstering headcount for its development teams. One current developer said their team was encouraged to get bigger, while cutting as many costs as possible elsewhere. It's a process that may not be done yet, as Activision seems to still be looking to boost Blizzard's content output and release more games on a regular schedule. Ahuja's comments in the spring of 2018 may have simply been the beginning. We are being told to spend less at every corner because we have no new IP," said one former developer. "Because Overwatch set this bar of how much we could earn in a single year, there's a ton of pressure from Activision to get shit moving. They want something to show shareholders." Activision essentially wants bigger teams to finish more games faster while cutting down on costs as much as possible. So those who were pulled out of Heroes of the Storm development have been reassigned to other major projects that Blizzard has in the pipeline, as well as some smaller scale projects like the various mobile games across all Blizzard franchises that are currently in development. I cannot say I feel particularly encouraged by this disconcerting trend of emphasizing quantity over quality, of prioritizing shareholders' needs over the needs of developers and consumers, of factory rush producing games. Blizzard used to be able to go at their own pace, and it's what's allowed them to maintain certain standards, but now, with Activision pressuring them to hurry things along, to focus on outputting new stuff rather than maintaining old stuff, and to keep catching lightning in a bottle by continuously and expeditiously producing massive successes on the level of Overwatch to keep shareholders happy, unease and concern surrounding future prospects for a beloved studio are understandable. At this rate, I'm afraid to find out what Blizzard might look like 5 or 10 years from now as corporate pressure continues to mount, as more of the decisions surrounding the studio, its developers, and its projects are left out of the hands of creators and in the hands of Activision executives, with the recent decision surrounding Heroes of the Storm possibly being an early sign of that. While I cannot claim that Activision directly commanded Blizzard to cut costs on Heroes of the Storm or anything like that, it does seem as though the publisher's recent initiatives and interventions at the very least played an indirect yet significant part in recent outcomes. These are one man's thoughts and opinions anyway. I'd love to hear what your take is on Heroes of the Storm being scaled down in the comments below. That concludes today's video. If you enjoy my content and would like to support this channel directly, consider donating on Patreon. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Yong Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Yong out!